hit the subscribe button on this channel and click the bell icon to get instant updates from Chess Talk.
Hello chess friends, welcome to Chess Talk. I am Jitendra Advani. We all know how to play chess. We know how the various pieces move on the chessboard. But there is a special chess rule that not many chess players are aware of. In fact, I was surprised to see even some highly rated players not knowing about this rule. This rule is an exception to the common chess moves played. It is called the Ampasant rule of chess. In this video, I am going to discuss this rule in detail and tell you exactly how you can use this rule to your advantage and surprise your opponent. This move can win you games, so stay tuned till the end to understand exactly how and when you can play it. While watching this video, if you have any questions or doubts, feel free to ask them in the comment section below. I will be happy to answer and help you out. So now without wasting any time, let's get started. As you all know, in chess, when you are going to capture a piece, you pick up your piece with which you are going to capture and move it to the square where the opponent has his piece and capture that. This is generally how a capture is done in chess. But there is an exception to this rule. It is called the En Passant. En Passant is actually derived from a French phrase which means in passing. This is a special move. According to this rule, when a pawn moves two places on its first move, then an adjacent pawn of your opponent can capture that pawn assuming it had moved just one square. So it looks like this. As you can see, the white pawn has captured the black pawn, but it has moved to a different square. This is not the square on which the black pawn was. Hence, this is an exception to the general form of capture. So you must be thinking, why is this so? I mean, why has this complicated rule been brought into chess? Actually, there is a very logical reason behind this. In the olden days, chess used to have a rule that pawns could move only one step forward at any point of time in the game. But later on, it was felt that the game was moving very slow and something had to be done to fasten the game and make it more exciting. So then they came up with a solution and introduced a new rule. An option to move the pawn two steps forward on its first move was introduced. This was a good decision, but there was a problem. As you can see, in the initial setup of a chess game, the black and white pawns are facing each other. And hence, there should be no way in which, say, this white pawn can go and promote itself without having to face the opposing black pawns. So at some point, there is always going to be a move in which these pawns can capture each other, right? But look what this new rule had done. Let's take this game for example. The white pawn here is not a passed pawn since it has a black pawn here on the adjacent file. Hence, there should be no way that this white pawn can go past this black pawn without black having the opportunity to capture it. But let's say white plays this move. Now how will the black pawn capture the white pawn? This seems unfair, right? Black should at least get one opportunity to capture the white pawn. So that's where this new rule came in. They introduced En Passant to make sure that this does not happen and black could capture the white pawn assuming it had moved only one square. So that's the story behind it. Now let's try and understand the conditions that come with this rule. Firstly, this option is available for one move only. Yes, it's only one move. That is the immediate next move. You cannot use this anytime during the game. Say for example, white plays his pawn to c4 and black moves his rook, and then white plays his king to g2. Now black cannot capture this pawn en passant since he has lost his right to capture. It's only a one move option. Hence, this right is taken away from you if you don't capture the pawn on the immediate next move. Okay, so now the second condition to this rule is that this option can only be exercised if the pawn has moved two squares. Say for example, white plays his pawn to c3 and black moves his rook, and then white plays his pawn to c4. Now black cannot capture the white pawn en passant since white had not moved two squares. It had only moved one square. That's not possible because black earlier already had an option to capture the white pawn when it was on c3. Alright, so I guess that's everything you need to know about En Passant. Always keep this rule in mind because this can be very useful, especially in endgames where the pawns are fighting for promotion. That's it guys, hope you enjoyed this chess video. Don't forget to like this video if you found it useful. If you have any questions or any video suggestions, feel free to post them in the comments section below. Hit the subscribe button below to enjoy more such chess videos. For some interesting chess tips, tricks and puzzles, you should like my Facebook page. Links are in the description box below. Thanks for watching and I'll see you soon.